I'm ready.
All right, what's up, guys? We are live on our YouTube live podcast again this week. We're not together, as you can tell, but we are going. We wanted to make sure that we could do this because I know everyone likes to hop on here and ask questions. So we're live. What's up, man?
Hey, what's going on? Yeah, it's different to be live from New York this time of year, but that's where I'm at right now. So I'm locked up in an attic. If you can kind of see, I've got the attic room here. Got away from everybody, and yeah, let's record a podcast. I've got a lot to talk about. I was jealous of you guys yesterday. That show was really good. You guys did an excellent job of giving facts about a subject that not a lot of people are giving facts about outside of our industry. So, I thought that was really good. You guys did a good job.
Yeah, that was fun. It was weird. It was like, of course, the one time we get everyone on the same show, you're not there. So
I know. Yeah.
it was kind of weird in that sense. And actually, I gotta give props. If you don't, if you listen to the pod, you can't even tell because of my editing magic. But I told the guys when we hopped on, I said, I was home alone, and I was like, Cohen's napping, but he's kind of getting to that age where he likes to wake up, and I said he might wake up in the middle of it. If I leave, that's why you guys have to just take over. And
Yeah.
sure enough, we were about to be done, and he came in, and I just zipped out of here, got him back to sleep, and came back, and they were still talking. Found a way to actually continue it rolling, and then I hopped in, finished it off, and then when I edited just a little bit of it on the actual final version, you couldn't even tell. So they did a great job of prolonging the podcast while I was gone.
Yeah, I thought all three of them, well, you, of course, and then the three guests there had all really good contributions to the subject in different ways. Like Magic kind of had the reporting of what's going on at Santa Anita, and then the two mics just kind of added in their thoughts and their kind of predictions of what's going to happen. So, yeah, very good podcast. Check that one out if you guys haven't yet. I was listening to it last night on a plane from LaGuardia to Burlington, Vermont. So it made the flight go by just like that. I think it was an hour flight, and he had about a 40-minute show there, so it worked out good.
There you go. You're welcome.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, it was a good show. It was
yeah.
fun. Yeah, Slim's on here. He said he missed you. So
Oh, sorry, bud. I
um,
miss you, man.
yeah, you'll be back. You'll be back.
Yeah. I'm not going anywhere.
He come hang out with you. You're close to him, so come on,
Yeah,
man.
it's really depressing because I'm 2 hours from Slim and Samich. You're going to be hanging out tomorrow, but there's just no way I can make it down there. So yeah, that is depressing, but I wish I could.
All right, so let's. This is for people on here live. This is the live version. We'll start the actual podcast recording here in a second. And if you're new to this, we talk. This is exactly what you hear on the final podcast versions. Only we're live. So if you have questions or comments, we'll answer those while we're doing the show. And most of the time, unless they're completely dumb, we'll have them up here on the actual show as well, answering them. So if you share this and like us and everything like that, so that way you can get more people on here to ask good questions. But you ready to do this? I know you got
Yeah,
things to
yeah,
do, so let's do it.
yeah. Let's do it.
All right, 3, 2, 1. What is up? I'm Jared Welch. He's Aaron Halterman. This is Blinkers Off. What's up, man?
Man, what is up? I got a lot to say this week. I am loaded with anger at times and just information maybe at other times. I'm pumped for this one.
It's been an eventful week, I guess.
Yeah,
To say the least. It's been all things were rolling last week, Fountain of Youth, and we had this big build up coming into this weekend with the 4 races, but then the key being the big matchup between Game Winner and Improbable in the San Felipe, and then breaking news: Santa Anita closing indefinitely. They're on the track as we speak, looking that over right now, trying to determine what to do and what the plan is. So we're still in limbo as to how. We know it's not going to happen this weekend. We're going to have 3 races to talk about on this podcast, 3 preps to talk about on this podcast. So we know the San Felipe and the big cap are not happening, but we don't know when. We don't know if they're going to make that up. There's been, if you listen to the podcast the emergency podcast we released yesterday on Wednesday, I should say. You heard at the end there was as I was editing, the news broke about Oakland coming out with the Rebel. They're going to split it if they need to, which is basically going to be the San Felipe version. But they got to give enough entries. And I know this is something you're going to want to talk about, Halterman. They've cut down the points. So the points, they've cut down from $1 million Rebel down to $750K each if they do it. And then from the points, you're going from the 50, 20, 10, 5, like we're used to for these races. It goes to like what I don't have it in front of me, 37.5 to the winner, 15, I think, for second. And so it's all escalated down a little bit. So what are your thoughts on all that?
It makes me so angry that they're going to knock down the points, and this is why the San Felipe is not going to happen. Get that out of your head. Anybody that thinks it's going to happen, it's not going to happen. It's impossible for it to happen.
It's 37.5, 15, 7.5, 3.75.
So Oakland, who did not have to do this at all, put up an extra $500,000 basically. The Rebel was $1 million. They said we'll run 2 Rebels if we need to replace the San Felipe. And we're going to do 750,000 and 750,000. By the way, the San Felipe is worth 300,000. And how is Oakland rewarded for this? By CDI, Churchill Downs. We're going to take away points. You saved our ass. You saved a prep, basically. If you split this thing, you've replaced the San Felipe, which you had no obligation to do. And what is your reward for putting up $500,000 extra dollars of your own money and saving a prep? We're going to dock both your races. That is ridiculous. That's an outrage. If I was Oakland, I would say, you know what? We're going to run 20 horses in the Rebel then, because that's ridiculous.
I mean, yeah, just speaking the truth. It's
one of the worst decisions I've ever. I can't even comprehend how stupid that decision is. I cannot even comprehend it.
And what they did too, like they actually said with Oakland, they're doing everything they can. They've been like, we know we're going to take a hit. We know we're putting out more money, but it's good sportsmanship for the horsemen to have a spot to run, blah, blah, blah. They even pushed the deadline for entries from March 7th to March 8th. So that way they give more people time to make those decisions. I mean, Oakland is doing everything they can to accommodate. And it's like, oh, you get dog. And now the big thing is that we were talking about a little bit on the show yesterday, and then obviously talking about with all our friends and on Twitter and stuff, is now you've got a situation. So Bob Baffert basically had it locked down, game winner, improbable, whichever way they run in the San Felipe. They're both in, essentially. Game winner has 30. He's in already. He just needed to get second, definitely. And then improbable, RJ has 10. So if he would be in. Now, all of a sudden, these points, if one of them doesn't win, especially improbable, if he doesn't win, he's not even in yet. It becomes a huge issue, especially when Bob Baffert didn't want to ship either one of these horses.
So here's the deal. If the San Felipe, say Santa Anita magically could get the track ready and the San Felipe would run next week, then I totally understand if you split the Rebel, then the points get split because you still have that race. They've essentially replaced the race. I don't care that they've slashed the purse of each race. That is irrelevant. It's worth $750,000. It's as high as any other prep until the final ones that are worth $1 million. It's insanity.
If the San Felipe is not running, it should be 50 points for each rep. I mean, that just makes logical sense. The same horses are
in it.
Yeah.
It's insanity that a track bends over backwards when they absolutely, let me stress this again, they absolutely did not have to do this. And listen, we are Oakland guys, but make no mistake, we're not in love with the management at Oakland Park by any stretch, and they don't like us by any stretch. I'm telling you right now, this is one of the best things they've ever done at Oakland. This is, for the sport of horse racing, they have done a tremendous thing. And if this thing splits in the punishment they get for doing this, it's insanity. I mean, it's an outrage. When I read that, I thought, are you insane, Churchill Downs? Are you absolutely insane? I couldn't believe it.
Now, again, this is all, I mean, it's still speculation because we don't know what's going to happen. I mean,
Right.
it's got to be they've been talking to a lot of the horsemen and stuff at Oakland or at Santa Anita, and they're just waiting. They don't know what that decision is going to be.
Well, and to be clear, if it doesn't split, it's $1 million. It's 50 points to the winner. It's normal. Okay, but if it does split, it still should be 50 points for both races.
Now, even if it doesn't split, and say I have no information on this yet, but it's like if Santa Anita's like, okay, the track needs some work, we're gonna take X amount of days to get it done. Here's the makeup date of the San Felipe. It's gonna be, maybe it's even like it's gonna be ran at Los Al or something. I don't know, but I'm just saying, like, it's still in the realm to say, well, Bob Baffert has already said, like, game winner's number one choice now is the Rebel. Like, he's going to break, both horses are going to breeze at Los Al, I think, this weekend, and we'll know from there. So it's still a situation where we were all, he didn't want to ship either one of these horses. He sounds like he's going to probably at least ship one. And now you've got the matchup that we were hoping to get. Even if they both come to Oakland, if they split the race, they're not going to face each other. So you're going to have one in each of the legs. And if those of you that remember 2012, Oakland did this with the Southwest, and Bob Baffert won both legs of that. So he he knows what he's doing whenever these races split. But dude, it's been hard for everyone, in the industry, because we had a big cap guide coming out and a lot of prep going into that, and it's like, oh wait, it's not happening, or is it happening? When is it going to happen? Oh, it might be the Rebel now, it might be two Rebels. It's and that's just us. So, everyone in the industry is kind of been scrambling because this is just completely unprecedented.
Yeah, we're on a very small scale compared to everybody else, but it has kind of just thrown us completely off schedule as far as what we're trying to do. So it's a mess. Santa Anita, they were 3 weeks late with this decision. They needed to get ahead of this way too much. I'm around a lot of family members that have heard about the story that don't follow horse racing, and we've talked about it a lot. Here's the deal, and I think it was Mike Somich brought this up on the podcast, like with the Breeders' Cup. If they ran it at Santa Anita and then there was an injury, wow, there would be some huge problems. I kind of made the point today. I said what this has done and what Santa Anita has done by letting this get out of hand is now horse racing is in the minds of people that don't follow the sport. You guys covered that as well. So what happens if a horse breaks down in the Kentucky Derby, which could happen? I mean, freak things happen. Mike said that on the show as well. All of a sudden, if we have a breakdown in the Kentucky Derby, it's a 30 times a bigger deal because people have that in their mind already about Santa Anita. Our sport is in a major risk right now. I don't think you can understate that. We are in a dangerous zone. We've got to get this fixed.
Yeah, and I think it's like I haven't wanted to bring it up because it's one of those things. It's like people bring it up all the time, and it just gets annoying because nothing's ever done by our industry. But it's like, if there was ever a need for a central organization that ran horse racing, this is it, because they could have stepped in months, even like a month ago, and been like, we've got to do something about this.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care that you have the guaranteed whatever payouts, you're not running until this is fixed, and things like that. A central organization has to, we know better, but it has to happen because there's no voice. There's no voice for this. It's just like all the news, and we're just getting bombarded, like you say, from the outside, and there's no voice. I mean, no one's talking really. Even like Santa Anita's saying some, but it's like, we need more than that.
Yeah, Santa Anita's been pretty lame on the whole thing. I'm going to be, just listen. I'm not going to sit here and bash them this whole podcast. Tough decisions had to be made, but the bottom line is, they kind of made a comment that they were being proactive by canceling racing. No, you're not being proactive. Proactive would have been 3 weeks ago to stop this. So we're on the radar now in a bad way, and I'm telling you, we are hanging on the edge. I'm a little concerned.
Yeah, it's been It's been rough to
It's been
say the
rough.
least. I mean,
Yep.
bottom line is, these racing officials and owners and the people that run this game, they need to step up. And whether it be people from Santa Anita, or people from where, I don't care where they, all over. I mean, this is a livelihood for thousands of people that in this sport. And if we can just continue to mess around and put the wagering first, then it's gonna like slowly go down and down and down until people,
Yeah.
you get these outside sources that don't know. I mean, they don't know enough about it to comment, but they're still the people that the general public's listening to. They're not
Yes.
listening to us, because people that
No.
listen to us are people that are already in the game and already love the game.
Yep.
And so that's the problem. And I think it's going to be tough when this blows over, but then you roll right from that right into the Kentucky Derby, which is the national spotlight, and there's going to be a lot of eyes on it. It'll be interesting to see what the numbers are off of that, like the viewership, if that takes a hit. And maybe we're being dramatic. I don't think we are, but I think that's a good. It's right to be concerned, I guess is what I should say,
Yeah.
because if we're not, then it's going to be too late. But hey, we can talk about this for a lot longer than this, and I'd hate to bring the show down by talking about racing is dying.
Right. Yeah.
Because I still think it's very strong in a lot of sense, and a lot of these other tracks that do a great job of promoting the game and promoting the sport, but something's got to change overall. I know you wanted to talk a little bit as well. We talked a little bit about it yesterday on the podcast with all the guys. You wanted to probably chime in on your thoughts as well on last week's Florida Derby, or not Florida Derby, the Fountain of Youth, the precursor to the Florida Derby, and kind of what your general thoughts were, but also what your thoughts were on that special horse that everyone was talking about going in and really going out, Hidden Scroll.
Yeah, it's amazing. The fourth place horse is the one everybody's talking about for a week now, it seems like, with Hidden Scroll. I just kind of wanted to comment on Monday. I'm not going to name names because the guy that was tweeting didn't name names either, but he was being very critical of the people that vote in the NTRA poll, and he votes in it too. That Hidden Scroll was not in the top 10, and he of the 3-year-old poll, and he kind of made light to the fact that the people that don't have it in the top 10 are not very smart, and I'm one of them. And I think, did you have him in the top 10?
I took him. No, I had him 10th.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't. Listen, there is absolutely no question in my mind. He is the best horse in the crop, other than these two Baffert horses or Instagram that we're going to see. And he might be better than them too. His talent is immense. Here's my problem. And Slim was right. He said Gladiator King can screw up this race. I'm really worried about it. And essentially that's what happened, right?
He wouldn't stop talking about it.
And he was right. And here's my issue, though. He is right, 100%. I'm not arguing that he's not right. But Hidden Scroll basically let a rabbit 99-1 shot mess with him. A really good horse usually doesn't let a rabbit like that mess with him. If it's a legit speed horse that legit belongs in the race, maybe say like a Promises Fulfilled, even though he's a sprinter, he has tons of speed, he has tons of class. So if you're up against that, well, that can really jack with a speed horse. There's no guarantee Hidden Scroll can rate. And now they're going to try to ration that speed in the Grade 1 Florida Derby, going 1 1/8 next time out. This is not an easy challenge for a horse running its third ever race. Here's my concern. I don't know if he can win that race because he hasn't shown that he can sit and relax. And if he does the same thing again, I don't care if he runs the fastest 1 1/8 first quarter in the history of Gulfstream. It's still going to be the same result, which is a loss. Until he proves he can rate his speed, I can't rate him very high in the Kentucky Derby charts. How can you? If he gets into a speed duel of the Kentucky Derby, he's not going to finish 4th. He's going to finish 12th. I mean, now, the deal with him is if he rates, he will be extremely hard to beat because he has an immense amount of talent. he will be able to go long. If he can go out in the Florida Derby and go 46-5 for the half, they won't beat him. I need to see him prove it, because in his first race, he set a crazy first half and he held on in a speed favoring sloppy track. Second time, 2 turns, another just nutty half mile. He couldn't hold on. He's got to prove he can do it before I can be totally sold on him.
Yeah, there's a lot to like about him in that race, and there was a lot that made you say, okay, well, he's not ready for this kind of level yet. And
Right.
and he, like, I think he's got all the talent in the world. He showed a lot, like when they were leading up and they were getting to the gate. Like, it was like, dude, this horse is, for this second start, like he looks like a pro. I mean, he's just sitting there. He's chill as could be. Yeah. And then I was sitting there. I was holding my new son, my 1-month-old son, and watching the race. And I was standing up in front of the TV watching, and they set the first fraction, then set the next one. I thought, and I said it out loud. I was like, well,
you're done.
Well, no, I said he's either the freak of, I mean, this is the Kentucky Derby winner by far, or he's a bust, basically. And you know, he actually, people may not realize this. If you're a time form person, or you like those time form numbers, he ran a higher number than his debut. He ran in 120, I believe, versus a 119 he got on debut, which is pretty impressive if you think about it. The fractions that he set early on were unbelievably quick. I mean, I think the tweet was like the 5th fastest early on, like, of the Fountain of Youth ever. So they were moving. Now, to that extent, you know, when American Pharoah won the Arkansas Derby, he had a rabbit that tried to go, and it didn't matter to him. He stayed off of him, then pounced late. It meant nothing to that horse. I mean, it was an afterthought to American Pharoah. Now, he had a lot more starts under his belt come Arkansas Derby. That's the issue. Hidden Scroll maybe just a little too early. I said it, I think I said on the podcast when we did the preview last week, I said, man, if we see Hidden Scroll sitting off the pace and pounce, like, this horse is a legit horse to do that off a second start. He didn't. So I think he showed our fears, like, okay, he's good. He's got a ton of talent, but he's got to develop a little more.
This was the perfect horse to sit off of. It was absolutely the perfect horse to sit off of. Gladiator King, you knew he had no chance to win the race. You could sit 3 or 4 lengths off of him, even 2 lengths off of him, and just blow him away at the 6 furlong pole, and then it's over. I'm going to bet Hidden Scroll in the Florida Derby. I can just tell you that right now, because I think he is immensely talented.
Yeah, like, who's the most talented horse in that race? It's Hidden Scroll. Exactly.
Yeah, but what does that really? I mean, I don't know if it's enough.
I know.
You better not single him. I'm going to tell you that right now, because he has shown no interest to rate his speed in his first 2 races. So,
all I know is this: is if the other well, he's got a few. I mean, but the other bigger Mott horse besides Hidden Scroll, Country House. If Country House was in that race, Country House would have won the race, and he would have been the better Mott that day. And so, even though I don't think Country House is in the realm of Hidden Scroll when it comes to talent, that doesn't really matter, because, you know, it's about, you know, be able to capitalize on the conditions.
Here's the deal. What you just said is absolutely true. Code of Honor, Vekoma, Bourbon War. Those are not world beaters, folks. Those are not. I mean, those are 3 very solid horses. Those are 3 horses that are in the discussion, no doubt. Those are not superstars that beat him. None of the 3 are superstars that beat him. He beat himself. It's like a football team, like I guess you can't use Alabama since they got smoked in the national championship, but like an Alabama powerhouse team losing to a team that's 8-4 because they got 25 penalties in the game. You know what I mean? I mean, he beat himself,
right?
And he's got to avoid to do that. It's going to be very tough. A 1 1/8, a Grade 1 race. Now you're going to ask him to try to sit off the lead for the first time. It's going to be tough. It's not going to be easy for him.
Yeah, analyzing this Fountain of Youth moving forward is going to be incredibly difficult, because
difficult.
The pace situation set up a crazy closing. I think I think they're good horses, but if I wouldn't be surprised that in the least bit, if in their next race that Code of Honor, the top three didn't hit the board. Like that's the kind of race I think it was, because I think they're good, but if you have one or two other horses in there, and the pace isn't insane, I think they which is necessary for a horse to do, capitalize on the situation, like I said, but they're, like you said, they're not world beaters. I think talent wise, I think there's better out there.
If Hidden Scroll goes 46-5 for the half, Code of Honor will need a truck to catch him in the stretch.
Yeah, that's actually a question that we got from Dennis. He said if they go 46 and change and not 45 and change, and 111 and not 110, does Hidden Scroll win? Yes. Yeah, yes, no doubt. Because what is easy to, when they hit the stretch, you could tell he was gassed. But the fact that he was able to still finish fourth, almost third, with those closers capitalizing on that, said that he's still got a lot of talent. A lot of horses would have just backed up all the way to the back, last place. But this, he showed that he can fight. If he had, I don't know what, obviously the rider's not coming back. Rosario won't be back on. So we'll see if that helps things moving forward. Slim said he would never be able to hold a baby during a race. He's like, you see me watching a race. Yeah. I'll tell you what, Slim, though, it helps.
Drop the baby.
If you do it, it keeps you from overreacting. And you obviously cannot go insane if you're watching a race holding a 1 month old. So it helps you keep a little bit calm, because I remember after that race, I didn't respond to anyone for a while because I was holding Cooper. So I was just like, okay, calm down, relax. Okay, that's what happened. Decompress. It's helpful. Try it out, Slim. But you need a smaller child than Ella. So that wouldn't work. She would just jump out. All right, let's get into it a little bit. What's the best thing you saw today?
Oh man, best thing I saw today. I think it just has to be the field for the Gotham Stakes. I think it's one of the more interesting fields I've analyzed in a while. But just because Instagram could be absolutely anything, like he may be the superstar of this crop. There's no question that's a possibility. He also could be a major catastrophe. Like he could flop in a big way. And there's enough like horses that are kind of like, yeah, he could be okay, that could jump up and beat him. I just think the Gotham, and I think the amazing turnaround of the Gotham of a race that 2 weeks ago we were like, well, they're going to run it and we'll watch it, to this is the most interesting race we've seen it maybe in the New York Prep Series in a long time, right?
Dude, I mean, if you had the 4 races back when the San Felipe was going to run, this would have been like third or fourth. Yeah. I mean, I guess fourth, not fourth, because you have Jeff Ruby's got that one locked down, but because you just weren't excited about it. You're just like, yeah, you're gonna have the same old New York horses and mind control or whatever, and it's like big deal. But yeah, you've got so many questions in this race. Obviously with Instagram is a key, but then you've got horses like Nick's Go, who needs to rebound, obviously off terrible effort. And horses like Mind Control, can he be legit? Here, against a tougher competition. There's a ton of speed in the race. So how does that work out as far as Instagram, who has only shown speed, but he's only ran 2 times and he's never been tested. So this is a horse that hasn't ran in forever. Forever. August is when this horse ran. That's how long. And so we don't know. But yeah, I would agree that race has me excited. Best thing I saw is, I'm gonna change it just because we've talked a lot about horse racing and we don't talk a lot about other things right now, but with the Derby stuff going on. But this time of the year, for NFL people, you got a lot of the free agency stuff happening and people leaving and getting cut and what teams are going to do. And, of course, I'm a big Chiefs fan, and, seeing what defensive free agents are out there and who we're going to go after. And then yesterday, out of nowhere, Chris Jones, who plays defensive line for the Chiefs, tweets out, I think he put it on Instagram maybe or Snapchat, one of the two, but it went viral everywhere. He had a video with Le'Veon Bell together talking about becoming a Chief. Let's get that guy, it's getting to be a Chief, and stuff. And so it's like, it's blown the roof off all of Chiefs hype. People are like, it's all the same thing. It's like, we don't need any running back. And then that happens. We're like, oh, yeah, bring him. It's like, it's hard not to get excited about something like that. I'll be honest. I don't think we need him. I think we could use that money elsewhere. But at the same time, it's Le'Veon Bell. And it's like that offense is already unstoppable. And yeah, you add Le'Veon Bell to the mix. That's just stupid with Patrick Mahomes. But anyways, I'm just pumped this time of the year. Of course, the draft coming up next month. So I'm just excited. It's cool to be a Chiefs fan. I'll just say that.
Yeah, for the first time ever, right?
Exactly. Hey, well, that's what I'm saying. We'll take advantage of it.
Well, the first off season ever. Let's put it that way. I mean, it's been cool. It was cool all year, but this off season, it's like, yeah, we're gonna have expectations going into the next year, so that's good.
Magic said, "You can have him. Please take him." I forgot, Magic. This was one of your 8 teams that you liked in the NFL, the Steelers. So, yeah, we will. I mean, you guys won't pay him.
No,
Antonio Brown. No. I don't want Antonio Brown. That guy, he's at the end of his career, and he's just crazy.
I would take Le'Veon Bell.
Hell yeah, I would. I would take him in a heartbeat. All right, let's get into today's show. We got plenty to talk about. Today's show, we preview Saturday's massive Kentucky Derby prep day with the Tampa Bay Derby, Grade 2 Tampa Bay Derby at Tampa Bay Downs, the Grade 3 Gotham Stakes at Aqueduct, and the Grade 3 Slim's favorite race, the Jeff Ruby Stakes at Turfway Park. Let's go.
Oh, dude, I laughed so hard. You guys were talking about the Jeff Ruby Stakes, and Savage goes, yeah, and they had the draw at a steakhouse. I was like, yeah, the Jeff Ruby Steakhouse, because that's why it's called the Jeff Ruby Stakes. That guy sponsored the race. That was hilarious.
No, damn
I don't know why. I just got a kick out of that.
Every time I'm looking at that race, it always cracks me up when I read it. I'm like, they actually have it just amazes me every time that stakes is spelled like steaks. Like it's just, I know. Because it almost seemed like it was like you had to call it a stakes, like STAKES, and so whenever you see it that way, you're just like apparently you can name it anything.
Yeah, it's unreal. We had a guy last year who was like, no, it's the Jeff Ruby Stakes. I said, go look it up. There's no stakes at the end of that. They just said, we'll just use that spelling. That'll work.
Hey, it's been great marketing. I don't know what he spent to get the race named like that, but everyone talks about Jeff Ruby.
Yep. He wears like that, like Elvis cowboy looking outfit to the race.
Oh, I know.
Have you seen that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
he
Slim,
seems like a cool guy.
They did have a lunch in there, and you could have gone. I sent you guys all, everyone that works for Racing News, I sent you guys all that, we were invited to the draw. You could have gone.
Yeah. I wish I would have went. I've heard it's a great place to eat, by the way.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever eaten there.
No, we haven't.
All right, we're gonna get into this, guys. We're gonna call it rapid fire. We're gonna spend more time than rapid fire, talking about these races, but we're gonna go through all three of the preps. We'll start with the Tampa Bay Derby.
Oh, the hardest one.
Mm-hmm. But that's what it's probably the most. I guess the Gotham's the most interesting, but this one's like a field of horses that all could pop, and you just don't know which one it's going to be.
Yeah. It's a good betting race.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good betting race. The fact that even if you like the favorite, I think you're going to get 5-2 on the favorite.
Yeah, because no one really knows how to bet this race.
No. That's why I don't listen to this show.
See, we got any questions? Isn't the Jeff Ruby on a bunch of jockeys' butts? I think it is.
Yep, it is. Yeah.
Magic's update for the day: no leaks or power outages so far. That's good news.
That's good.
Yeah. Yeah, if it's on Mike Smith's butt, it's good. So.
Who said that?
Dennis.
Okay. Just making sure it wasn't one of ours.
I could see that be one of our guys, but
that's why I asked. Yeah. Oh, jeez.
All right, let me pull up this race. All right. All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1. All right, we got 3 big Derby prep races we're going to talk about on today's podcast. We're going to rapid fire-ish them. So this rapid fire is presented by NYRBets. The Derby Trail is heating up fast with these 3 major prep races we're about to talk about taking place across the country this weekend. Tune in to Fox Sports Saturday race at the races this Saturday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time to watch Kentucky Derby hopefuls battle it out. Wager while you watch with NYRBets. Sign up with NYRBets today with promo code DUDES to earn a $200 new member bonus with NYRBets. You can bet any track, anywhere, anytime. Visit NYRBets.com to earn your $200 bonus today. We're going to try to help you figure out how to bet these races. Let's start. We're going to try with the Tampa Bay Derby. We'll go to Tampa Bay Downs for this first one. It's the lone grade 2 now of the day of the Derby preps, I should say, worth $400K for 3-year-olds going 1/16 miles. And kind of the moral of the story here for this day is full fields. I mean, you got, even in New York, it's relatively full. Field of 11 in here, led by number 7, Win, 5-2, 7-2 on Well Defined, your Sam F. Davis winner. Looking to do it again here. You got 4-1 on Dream Maker out of the Cassie barn, who coming off that really impressive allowance win. But what can he do from that? And then you got Tacitus at the 10 horse at 12-1, which is pretty decent price there if you like, because again, the moral of this outshine 8-1 for Pletcher. Really nice off of that Gulfstream win. It's kind of like, who's going to pop, right? Which of these horses, they all have done something decent, but which one can actually show, hey, I'm a Derby contender?
Yeah, it's a really good question. And I think, the answer is really not simple, because most of these horses are looking to take that step up. Like, we haven't really got a lot of really solid, proven form against stakes competition where they've won. Well Defined would probably be the one that fits that bill the best, right? He was a grade 3 winner last time out in the Sam F. Davis. However, you look at the pace setup in this race, can he get a loose on the lead type of trip? I don't think so. So I'm going to go against Well Defined today. I think he'll take a little bit more money than he did last time out. And so I think he's a little bit of a play against. If you didn't play him last time, maybe don't play him this time. I think the horse that's jumping up to stakes company after a big allowance win that's really interesting is the 4-horse Dream Maker. And he's interesting in the fact that right after that allowance win at Fairgrounds, Mark Cassidy basically said, we're going to Tampa Bay, and then we're going to the Bluegrass. That's 2 big races to point for just seconds after winning, that race there at Fairgrounds. So I think Dream Maker is where you got to start with the horse, that he's going to be very interesting. And then really, I really think it comes down to win. If he can repeat that type of effort that we saw in the Pasco Stakes, if he can do that in this race against this kind of competition, I think he might win by a couple lengths, actually.
Yeah, that to me that's where you start, because when you look at the numbers, I mean, this guy has just been nothing but awesome. He is, his mile 16th race, and he's coming in off of he's running 5.5, 7 and 7, so he's got to show that he can do this moving forward. And his one loss is that horse that runs at Laurel, Always Mining, who's been really good, who a lot of people like for Derby potential, or maybe even Preakness potential. But I mean, that's a quality loss, I guess. But again, it's how can he move this number forward into a race like this, where you've got better horses and going longer than he's ever gone. The thing, he's my pick. I like that in his last 2, he's always seems to be getting better, like as they're going. Numbers wise, that shows to be accurate. His numbers are sometimes when you look at like a time form and you look at a horse and you see as the race went on, even though they won, the numbers got lower and lower, and it's like, okay, I don't know if this horse can do it. But one last time out going away, and his numbers improved with each leg. So I like now. And you're a time form guy more than I am. And one thing that has me a little concerned is that race, the previous race. I think it was at the Pasco. That race had 2 or 3 horses come back. Like, the numbers came out of that race were really high on time form, and then 3 or 4 horses came back to run out of that race and ran dramatically lower numbers. out of that. So what do you make of that?
That's the worry right there. You hit it right on the head. The Pasco Stakes has not come back to be strong at all. Cave Run is a horse that finished third in that race that we thought would be pretty decent. He just hasn't shown much. I mean, he got murdered by Spinoff last time out in an allowance event. So, he didn't beat much in that race, and it was a very short field as well. So it could be a situation where the numbers are a bit skewed, and that's why I definitely would throw in some other horses with him. How about another race where we think the numbers can be skewed if we just want to go on that theme real quick? Number 1, Admire. Number 2, Sir Winston. They come out of the Withers. The Withers, as far as visually, not very impressive, right?
Mm-hmm.
But speed figure wise, it got a high number. No matter what you look at, it got a very high number. What if both these horses are 12-1? What if that number is actually legit? That means they can compete in this race. And at 12-1, either one of them might be a decent play.
Yeah, and that could help answer a lot of questions, even if you don't bet them. As we wait, wait to see tax again and whatnot. Like, how legit was that? If those horses come and run big, then yeah, I think the fans would really like to see that to flatter tax on their team. With Dreammaker, I really liked Dreammaker last year. I'd have to look back, but I feel like I picked him to win the Hopeful. If I didn't, I mentioned it because I've always liked this horse. Ran really poorly then, and ran really poorly in the Breeders' Charity at Keeneland. The race that Nick Sko won, Sigelman was second, and Standard Deviation was third. You look at time for him. My concern with him is like that number he ran last out was massive. He ran a 114 that day after running an 86, a 96, and a 76. I mean, he dramatically increased his numbers going mile 16th, everything you'd want to see. It's like, man, is that a real number? Or if it was a real number, could we expect a bounce?
It's possible. And I like him. I don't love him. He's another one. You got to throw him in, but don't put him in a situation where if he doesn't run well, it kills you. Like don't try to wheel him and single him in spots. I don't think that's going to work. But I do think he has talent. Let's just see if he shows it. And that's again where the problem lies. The Mod horse at number 10 horse there. That's another one. He could be decent or he could kind of flop. This is really going to tell us. Okay, we've got some up and comers. Let's see how they match up here. Well defined is a pretty decent measuring stick. I don't think he's great. I don't think he's bad. If they can't beat him, they probably don't need to be on the Kentucky Derby Trail.
Yeah, he's well defined. I know, Magic Mike picked him up. They would like to see him win this race. He's kind of been all over the place. He ran really well last year. In some of those restricted races, and then came to the Breeders' Cup and got absolutely stomped in Mucho Macho Man again, and then looked really good going mile 16, doing this distance. But he had a loose on the lead kind of trip. Kentucky Wildcat, who obviously has been flattered. We like that horse. Unfortunately, he's off the trail, but I mean, Country House is flattered. You know what I mean? So we know that's a legit horse. Kentucky Wildcat was, and so that's not a bad win at all. It's just like, do you really expect him to get if you think he's that kind of horse, which I do think he needs the lead. And if anything, they watched that race and said, no way. I mean, this horse is not getting an easy lead this time.
Well, look at his last 4 races. The $400,000 stakes he won at Gulfstream for Florida Breds. Easy lead, won by 7. Then the Juvenile lost by 21. He didn't have the lead. Mucho Macho Man lost by 12, didn't have the lead. All of a sudden, he gets the lead very easily in the Tampa Bay Derby. He wins by almost 3 lengths. So he's a very erratic horse. But yeah, I don't see that happening today. He's got to have some pressure up front, whether it comes from Zindon, maybe Dump will get up there.
Dump.
Yeah, it puts some pressure, but there's just got to be horses that are going to put pressure on him today.
Yeah, and he could be, it's a stand against, prove me wrong kind of race with him. It's like, because he could be legit, if he just, that race was said, okay, he's good. And then he did it again. But as we know, as you go further down the trail, those loose on the lead type of situations don't happen. And we saw it last week with Hidden Scroll, like we talked about. You didn't get a loose on the lead. You know what I mean? And so you've got to learn to be able to be a very a horse that can adapt, and we'll see if he can do that. Or he might just be the speed to speed. We'll see. But
Yep.
To me, I'm going with the horse that's most talented, I think, and until it's proven otherwise. And I think Dan gets a win here for his team. I'm going to go with win as well.
Oh man,
I hate to say
Dan.
it. I hate to say it.
You hate to see it.
Yeah, we got 4 horses in that race. I think we have 4 in this one, 4 in the Gotham. So as far as
busy.
As far as fantasy goes, yeah. Who's going to press Will Define so he doesn't go? Someone will. I mean, I think it's Zindin. I think that's who presses. He's got the speed to do it. I don't think. I understand that. I think the right path has got some speed that could do it. You never know with Pletcher. Outshine could send. If Rosario on board, he might send.
Yeah.
He'll run 45 flat.
I think Dump, if he gets out of the gate, can be up close. Somebody will pressure him.
All right, let's go to the Gotham. You guys have any? I mean, you guys are doing lots of comments going in. So if you guys, any questions, we're going to talk Gotham next. So if you got anything about that race, let us know. Let's pull it up. The Busher's actually the 11th race, and isn't that a Oaks race?
Yep.
I'm sure Slim's got someone in there.
I would imagine.
I did, Jason. I saw Gotham. I can't remember where I saw it, but it was a weather forecast for all the preps. I think it was from Churchill. Like their little derby. Yeah, I think the weather. Let me pull it up for you guys. I'll tell you the weather forecast. Yeah, so Aqueduct it's mostly sunny with a high near 42 on Saturday. Oaklawn, we don't care about Oaklawn here. Mostly sunny with an 82 at Tampa. And Turfway, showers with thunderstorms, high of 55, chance of precipitation 90%. So don't take that into account.
All weather track, so theoretically it does not play.
As John said, he goes, I never wanted to call it an all weather track because they always canceled racing when it rained.
Right at Santa Anita, he was referred to. So it'll play funny, but it's not necessarily a sloppy track.
Slim says he likes a full busher. It's always good to see a full busher. I agree.
I don't like a full busher.
It's underrated. It's underrated.
No, it's overrated. We don't live in the 80s anymore. We may have been born in the 80s, but we don't live in them now. Good Lord.
Slim with the line.
All
right, let's do this. 3, 2, 1. Next up, let's go to New York for the Gotham Stakes. You get the Tampa Bay Derby 50-20, 10-5. This one as well, 50-20, 10-5 for your top 4 finishers. It's race 10 on the program. The Busher is actually the next race that you have. But for this case, we'll just talk about Kentucky Derby preps. And hang on, my computer's, my Equibase is frozen, so hang on, I don't have the field.
Okay.
Oh, there it is.
Okay. 3, 2, 1.
Yeah. 3, 2, 1. Next up, let's go to New York for the Gotham Stakes. It's a 50-20-10-5 for your top four Kentucky Derby prep race. Same as the Tampa Bay Derby. It's race 10 on the program. It's grade 3 with 300K for 3-year-olds going 1 mile. So New York, man, they do it. It's an odd thing they do out there with the going to how run a mile and eighth in like December, and then you got mile race in March, but that's the way it is, and it's worth 50 points. Slims wrote a great article at racedudes.com talking about that fact and how this is kind of a getting sprinters back into the Kentucky Derby, which is kind of weird. But anyways, you've got the key here is even money on number 6 horse Instagram, who's been the focus. We've been waiting on this horse to return. Like I said in the intro, we haven't seen this horse since August. In August, I thought he was, it's always hard to say, but in August, I thought he was a Derby winner. I thought he was the most likely Derby winner at that point. A lot has happened since, including nothing with him. So that's the key here. What is he going to be like coming back?
Yeah, very good question. Obviously, he's the play. You've got to put him on top. But again, I kind of look at him like I looked at Hidden Scroll last week. Yeah, I'm going to pick him to win the race, but this is not a race where I would single or try to key just Instagram and spots, because I think he's beatable. And I think there's a few horses, just like last week, that I think can upset him. I think number 7, Not That Brady, is definitely one that can upset here. When you look at this horse and his resume and what he's done, last time out, second in the Withers, only beaten ahead by Tax. We've talked about that number and how good it came back. And then the 2 races before that, going this distance, the 1-turn mile at Aqueduct, dominating performances in wire fashion. So now he cuts back from that mile and eighth Withers back to the mile today. I think he's got some upset ability. So he's one I like. Listen, 10-1 on the morning line on Much Better for Bob Baffert and Mike Smith. That alone is playable. He's here for a reason. He has to be doing at least decent. So I think Much Better is a horse to look at. And I think Mind Control, the thing with Mind Control, I do think he does his best running in the front, but I do think he can sit off the pace a little bit if need be. So I think he's interesting as well.
Yeah, I totally agree. I Much Better, man. Like this horse, I almost claimed him just because it's like, if Baffert's sending it, we knew he's going. We're like, if Baffert's sending him, how can you not want to, if he's sending him, you got to think he's doing decent, right?
Yep.
I think he knows that he can possibly steal one because you've got a mile race, so, I think that's the thing. Like, I don't necessarily think this is a horse that's like, well, he wins here and he's like a legit Derby contender. But at the same time, he looked really good going 6.5 furlongs after finishing third in the Sham to Gunmetal Gray and Sueno. He looked really good in that allowance race that he ran him in at Santa Anita. So if he's decent at 10-1, especially, you got Bob Baffert and Mike Smith coming to New York. You don't want to let 10-1 beat you on that connection at all, ever. You'll look like an idiot and you'll feel like an idiot if that happens. So